So in the last session, we talked about, we introduced into the string classes, we talked about arrays, and so far we have also got a chance to kind of see about various different, uh, statements like if else and all. So today we'll get more details. We'll be talking more about what we call it as a control statement. You have already seen some variation of that control statement, but we'll jump in. And the most interesting aspect is we might get to do a lot of, lot more programming today. So you could either use an IDE of your choice. I believe somebody was using Intellij, somebody was using, I saw two more IDEs. Or if you don't have an IDE or an integrated development environment already installed in your machine, what I would suggest is, one second, you can go to codecollab.io. So please feel free to go to your browse, type codecollab.io, and you can just click on get started. So get started, go ahead and pick Java as the programming language, and just say create project. So this is another way you can start creating your code. We might mostly use Intellij as IDE. I have already shared the steps how you can go ahead and install Intellij. If you haven't got a chance, feel free to kind of explore that after the session. Try to see you can install the IDE. Even if you don't have it, you can use codecollab.io for doing all the coding exercise. Okay, so let's get started. So today we'll talk more about control statement, and we try to do some of the sample programs which will help us to kind of understand control statement a little bit in more detail. So as we discussed before, programming, there is a lot of processing of data that you would be doing, or there is a lot of logical calculation or logical processing that you have to do, and it is not possible for you to do by simple statements, right? So you need more power when you are writing programs to basically handle it. So control statement is one way by which you can able to do that. So in a control statement, you would find two different type of structures. One is a decision making statement, and another is a looping statement. We have already seen an example for a decision making statement. Anybody remembers what is a decision making statement which we have used before?
So by arrays?
Array is not a decision making statement. Array is basically a data type. So again, let's just take a step back and look at programming.
Decision making is like conditional if.
Yeah. So
and looping statement is while and for.
Yes. So decision making statement is and if else statement. That's one where it basically help us to make the decision making statement. And looping statement, we didn't get much chance to talk about that in the last session, but we'll talk about that today. So I'm not going to spend more time on decision making statement because you're already familiar with this, but let's be clear about the concept. Just 1 second. Let me see if I can hide this. I hope you can see my screen completely, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So in a decision making statement, hello. Okay. So in a decision making statement, what happens is when you write a program, you will basically get into a stage where depending upon a decision, you might do a different action. So for, if the condition is A, you might end up doing one thing, or if the condition, or the expected output is, or the criteria kind of returns B, it could be like a true or false. It could be multiple other criteria, but there is a check condition, and depending upon the outcome of that, your program will either take a turn and execute statement 2, and continue executing the remaining statement. Or if the check condition is like true, it might go directly to statement 3 and continue executing it. So one specific scenario where you are using it is you don't need to execute both the statement 2 and statement 3. You have to either execute statement 2 or statement 3. Let's quickly see an example to kind of understand that. So generally, let's say, I mean, all of you are studying in schools, and okay, if my assumption is wrong, pardon me, but your fees kind of depending upon which class you are, whether you are in a high school, whether you are in a lower standard, this kind of has a dependency on how the fees is calculated. So you are going to write a program. Let's say the program name is called calculate fees, where you are need to provide the student type, and depending upon what is the student type, this program has to calculate the fees. So and the decision what is the student type, whether he is a middle school or a high school student, is depending upon in which class the student is. So we are using a decision statement here to identify what is the student type, and then going forward we can use the program to calculate what should be the fees of that student. I hope it's simple and straightforward, and we have seen some of the examples of how we are going to use, how we have used it in some of our previous example. Now now we are basically understand how a decision statement works. But in some scenario, the condition, if a condition is met, you might have to process a same set of instruction multiple times. So it doesn't kind of end by doing it only once. A simple example would be, let's say you are writing a program to calculate the total marks of each student. So in a check condition, you are going to check whether, let's say, I'm just giving us an example. For a student has a roll number 1 to 30, whether you have reached roll number 30, and if you haven't reached the roll number 30, you will go to statement 2, where you will find the total marks of that student, go back to the check condition again, check whether you have reached the student number 30. No, you are still at student number 2. Again, go to the statement 2, calculate find the total marks of the student number 2, go again, check for student number 3, and the process repeats till you do the calculation for all the student 30. Once it reaches student 30, it checks whether you have reached the student 30. Yes, I have already reached the student 30. Now there is no need to further calculate the marks of the student. We'll go into the next step. It could be even like printing the mark, sending a mail to the parents about, okay, this is the marks that students got. So in a looping statement, the control flow work in a way where you have a certain set of instruction which needs to be executed multiple times till a certain set of records is completed, or a certain number of times the execution has been completed. I hope that's clear for everyone. Any questions so far?
No, sir.
Okay, let's.
Sir, my audio wasn't working, so I couldn't hear. So can you just brief me about what you have done till now?
So what I would do is I'll just give you a simple one statement answer. You can always go back to the video and check the details. So what we talked about is about a looping statement. When will you use the looping statement? So a looping statement, you will be using a looping statement when there is a certain set of instruction which needs to be executed multiple times. For example, if you are calculating the student marks of a students in a class, there is 30 students in a class, you will continue executing the loop till the student 30 is reached. You reach student 1, calculate the mark, go back to the loop, calculate the marks for student 2, continue the loop till all the 30 students is reached. When the check condition reaches student number 30, it checks, oh, okay, have I reached the student number 30? Yes, it exits, and go to continue executing the next statements, like sending a mail to the parents or whatever be the next step after the students marks is calculated. We'll see this in more in an example. Let's just go to the examples, and you will be clear how that basically works. So in the control statement with respect to Java, For looping, there are two: for loop and switch loop. Switch statement is more or like a more refined decision making statement. So we'll see all the three, and we'll try to kind of learn by actually writing some of the programs to solve some problems. Now, before we basically get into the program, let's look at the first loop statement, which is for loop, which is there in Java. And what you see is the syntax of a for loop in Java. So it's a very simple thing. So as we discussed, the line statements for execution kind of keep executing till a certain condition is reached. So in this, the condition is we have a counter which is I, where we have initially setting the value to 0, and every time the statement gets into the statements of execution, it will execute, and then I will become 1. So first I will become 0, statements of execution get executed, then I will become 1, statements of execution get executed, then I will become 3, then statements of execution get executed, and it continues till I less than 10 condition is met. So this execution keep continuing as long as the condition I less than 10 is met. So what happens when the value of I is equal to 10? Because when you start with I is 0, you can see there is something mentioned as an increment, I++. I++ is a way in Java to increase the value of that integer. So when I++ get executed, I will become 1, then I will become 2. So this kind of keep continuing till the value of I become 10. When the value of I become 10, I less than 10 is no more met, and the program comes out of the loop and start executing the statement which is after that. So to summarize how the for loop works, it starts by first initializing the value of I is equal to 0, then goes to statement for execution, then increments the value, which is I++, and checks whether the condition is still valid. If the condition is valid, it again goes into the statement of execution, then again goes to increment, and then check whether the condition is still met, goes to statement of execution, goes back to increment, still check the condition is met, and this process continues. And once the condition is not met, the program gets out of the loop and start executing the next statement. Okay, so that's about the theory part of it, and there is no fun in theory. So let's kind of get into a program and try to kind of use for loop to solve that problem. So the problem that we are trying to solve is, we have a statement or a sentence. We need to find how many vowels are there in this statement. So what we are going to do is, manually counting how many A, E, I, O, U is there in this statement is going to take a long time, especially if the paragraph is really big. It becomes really hard for us to do it. So we are going to solve this problem using a program, Java program, and in that Java program, we will use for loop. So let's kind of get back into coding statement. So this time I'm going to use Intellij. You are feel free to use collab.io, and if you wanted to use collab.io, this is the URL, codecollab.io. Again, the steps are very simple. Just go to codecollab.io. I know for most of you this is already very familiar. So just click on Get Started. Select the programming language as Java and say Create Project. You can right click here and say New File. Name of the file, let's say xa.java. You can compile the file by right click and compile this file. Once you compile, there is a run button here which you can use to execute the program. If you're facing any problem, you can just let me know. I will definitely help you to solve that. So we'll jump to Intellij, and let's kind of start by writing the program. So one difference, one small difference or a new concept that I'm going to introduce you to is something called as a packages in Java. So what happens is that as you start writing more program, there are going to be multiple files that you will be creating. And over a period of time, it becomes really difficult for you to kind of understand where you have kept each of your Java classes. So Java has a concept called packages. It is nothing but the folder structure in which you are basically storing the program. So for example, if you see my structure here, it says SRC, which is kind of a root folder, where I have a directory structure created called com GrainEd test. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new package first. So it's called package. Say new package, and the name of the package is going to first I'm going to maintain com and GrainEd. So that's a common practice used in Java. So for example, if you are going to work for Microsoft, you might use and the URL of Microsoft is www.microsoft.com. Your packaging direct structure might more or less look like com.microsoft, and then the specific function that you are doing. So I'm also going to follow that. So my package structure is going to be com GrainEd. Now this is session 3. So I'm going to create a folder called session 3 in which I'm going to add all my Java classes today. Enter. So you could see in the ID.
Sir, which is this app that you're using?
This is Intellij.
Yeah, okay.
And the same would be, available in all IDEs. In CollabNet, you might have to go little. This process might be little tough. You have to first create a directory, then create another directory, and then create another directory. I don't know whether it. It might not be as easy as the other IDEs, but this package creation would be available whether you are using Visual Basic. The Eclipse Visual. What was the name? Somebody else was using a IDE from Microsoft. So this should be available in all these IDEs. Or you have to manually go ahead and create the directory structure like this, session 3. Okay, so let's do a multi-programming both places. So so this was easy for me when I created it from here. Then in the session 3, new Java class, and the name of the class is, let's use for loop example. So this is the name of the class. Now, when I created this class in Intellij, what you could see is that Intellij by default created the packaging structure. It says this class is available in the package com.grained.session3. Right? Okay, so let's jump back to CollabNet. Just in the interest that, so if I create a new Java file and I call it, let's say, use the same name, for loop. Example .java. We have to name Java. Created it. Sadly, when I created in here, it created that package structure for me. But in Code Collab, you have to type this. Okay. So that's the difference. So and if you are interested in being a good programmer or an expert programmer, it is important that you are very familiar with the better IDEs, which will save time for you, and it will because it is impossible for us to understand what all are the functions available for each class or what all are the capabilities available. If you are using a simple IDE, you will have to go to Google, find out, okay, for this class, what all are the methods available, things like that. But if you are using a good IDE will basically help you with that information. Okay, so if you are not using an IDE, please go through and you can basically have the package added and the class added here. Then the next thing is we need to have a public static void main method. Again, as an IDE, this IDE creates that method for me. But in the other code collab, please type this public static void main string args. And let's kind of get into the core problems right now. So we are trying to find the how many vowels are there in a statement. So the first thing is, let's copy that statement here. I will copy it from my presentation. For you, it's not mandatory that you need to use the same text. Feel free to use any text that you want to use for the problem statement. Okay. So just make sure that there are only 2 quotes and you are closing the statement also. So
how do we write a string in multiple lines? Java?
so it's very simple. So you can
it's
just
using backslash. Oh, okay.
okay. So it's giving me a warning, something is wrong. So it's not taking us a string right now. So let me just avoid the complication. Type and so this sometimes what happens is when you are using just use a notepad if because that's basically because I'm copying it from a different. So all the formatting, all these things comes along with that. We'll try this. Okay. Now, so there are multiple ways you can solve this problem. There are multiple ways you can go through this and try to count. The way I'm going to use is I'm going to use an array because you are familiar with an array. So I'm going to create an character array. My intention is I wanted to convert this string statement into a character array where in each of the array, one character of this statement will be there so that I can go through each of those array values and try to see if that is a vowel or not. So the string class, which we had introduced in the last class, you can see that a string basically has a lot of method. One method is to convert what it has, the sentence it has, into a character array. So I don't have to do all the work. Java does that for me. So I first
index strings.
You can do that also. That's why I said there is multiple way you can solve this problem. You can use the string index also to go through each of these things and identify whether it is a vowel or not. It's just that I'm using this strategy. You are feel free to use directly iterating through the string also. Okay. Now the basic objective now is that we need to loop through this character array, right? So we need to start from character 0, and in Java we have learned that Java stores array from 0 to the length, to the last character. So if an array is of length 10, in the indexing, in the character 0 will be the first letter and character 9 will be the last letter, because the array starts from 0, not 1. So the first thing that we need to know is that how many characters are there in the statement, or what is the length of this string. So we can either do a string dot length, or we can even do that from a character array length also. So let's find what is the length of the statement. Again, there are multiple ways you can do that. You can use the string and then find the length.
Should we type this in code collab now?
Not yet. Let's reach a stage, and then I will ask you guys to type it. So when you are typing in Code Collab, my suggestion is don't use a very big sentence. Just type something which is very simple. Just type Java is simple and powerful, and use that as a statement. Okay. Don't start typing it right now. I will let you know when you can start typing. So the third thing that we did is we find the length of the the statement. Now we can actually introduce a loop. Okay, for again, I'm just going to use the IDE to create the loop. So we are going to start with the count 0, and we need to iterate through this loop till the length of the statement is reached, right? So if the length of statement, for example, in the statement that we have given, if there are 10 characters, we have to go through the loop through each character from 0 till we reach the length of the statement. Now, I'm not going to write the logic for this, just to make sure that the things are working out. And in a programming, it always makes sense to go step by step. So there is a concept called test-driven development, or where you write a smallest piece of code that works. Once you verify it is working, then increment into the next level. So step by step, you try to improve your code. So right now, what we are going to do is we are not going to write the entire program. We are going to just print that character statement. So just to see that whether our program works. So what would happen in this is we have converted our statements into a character array. So this character array holds the entire statement. In character statement 0, T will be there, 1, H will be there, like that till the end of the statement. And then once we did this, we find out what is the length, so that how many total characters are there. And then we wrote a loop saying start from 0, which is the first character, go till the end of the statement. And now we are not writing the logic. We are just saying, just print the character, just so that we understand that whatever you say is correct. You are holding each character in a character array. So let's stop here, run this program, and see whether that program is executing as we expect it to do. Okay, so you could see that the console, it's already printed. So you can see T, the first time it printed T, then H, then E, then there was a space, then F. So we are able to get each character value in an array, and we are able to print it. And now you can take a 2 to 3 minutes. Let's reach there. Let's everybody able to print each character in the statement.
So can you copy and paste the string statement?
My suggestion is don't do that. Just type Java is simple and powerful. Start with a very simple statement.
Okay, sir.
Just use Java is simple and powerful. And in case like, since you asked, I will paste it here also. But remember, sometime this formatting will also get in. So you need to be just careful. Just one quick thing. So Java usually makes, so you have for every statement, there is an opening and a closing parenthesis. So most of the IDE, when you, keep it, it will show which is the closing parenthesis for that. So it's important that for every opening parenthesis, there is a closing parenthesis. Do we have any volunteer who wants to share the screen?
Okay, I can share.
Go ahead and share. So the best way to learn programming is by sharing the screen and doing it together. The first thing is you cannot name a class main because that I mean Java has something called as a reserved keywords. So that's a part of the programming. I mean, what do you call syntax? So you can't use main. Rishikesh, can you just share?
No,
Don't
I'm
stop
not.
sharing.
I was not sharing. I think.
Sir, I was sharing.
Oh, okay, okay. So
Wait, I'll
who?
just
I mean,
share
can you
again.
just share the again?
Yeah.
Don't stop.
Yeah.
Okay, so okay, you are trying to use a scanner and all. That's fine, but just make sure that you don't use the main the vowels a, e, I, o, u count 0 for I is equal to 0. Okay, sentence dot length I process vowels contains sentence I. Okay, rest looks fine. Your logic looks fine. It's just that name the class differently.
Okay, so what can I give it like?
You will have to name the file also. You named it as main.java.
Yeah.
Rename it to something else.
Okay. So
No, your class name and the file name should be same.
yeah. Wait, it's not changing. Oh, okay, change. Yeah, and then I can.
Your
change.
class name should be same. Not the
Oh, okay,
static
sorry.
void main.
Okay. So this name, and this can be main. Yeah, it's fine.
Try combining and running it.
Okay. Okay, now I'll try running it.
So that's a different
okay.
error now.
Oh, I forgot the semicolon here. I keep forgetting semicolon. Yeah. No, it's still same.
See, one problem is I mean, so you know what is a scanner.in do?
Yeah.
So what does it do?
It lets us type.
It's basically taking an input from a
Input, yeah.
console. Okay. So this being browser, maybe there might be some restrictions in how it's
No,
being
I
used.
was able to take it before this. Maybe is there an argument like
Error
system
cannot
dot
find
innovation?
symbol.
No, I've tried scanner before it.
Okay, do one thing. Okay, let's kind of try doing some debugging. How do you debug a program if it's not working?
We'll see which line is not working in.
No, so it's, I mean, so basically, okay, there are two ways. You have
Yeah,
something like a
we can go line by line.
debugger in IDE, but
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's available here. So I will tell you a very crude way to, do the debug. Command line number 7 to
Yeah.
17. Sorry, 7 to 16.
Okay. No, that's where the error is. Okay, so I can just like put a star and two things, right? No.
No, not that. So
Two backslashes.
no, other way around. The slashes the other way. Yeah.
And
You will, if you are using that, you have to use it in every sentence.
oh, okay. No, can we do the star?
Yeah.
thing?
So first, keep the first one as it is. Second, star. Change that into star.
Oh, okay, like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I can close that. No.
No, the other way around. First star
Yeah.
and then the link.
Huh?
No, the other slash.
Yeah.
Okay.
It worked.
Now try combining.
Mhm. Huh? Okay.
You haven't initiated the scanner. Your line number 6 says sentence getter. Where is,
Oh,
what is
okay.
that?
I forgot that I should write scanner over here. Right? Now perhaps it'll work. Oh yeah.
Okay, so you can do the debugging yourself. You might, I'm not sure whether you will get successfully run. If not, you might have to do it sentence by sentence. But I'm sure that you now know how to go step by step, go and figure it out. Where is the problem, right?
One error in the if statement.
Look at how you have defined the if statement. Abel, but I have to switch back. You might have to, because if there is anyone else has basically a question, we have to address that also.
Okay.
Just try it out. If you are still facing problem, you let me know. Okay.
Yeah.
So just look at your if statement. And you will be able to. There might be like extra closing braces, things like that. Because that the problem is that in collab it doesn't get highlighted, but if you are using something like a Intellij, before even compiling, you will get to know that there is a mistake there. Anyone else has a question, or shall we continue our coding exercise? Okay, so let's continue. Let's try to kind of finish that program. So we what we did is we had a statement, we converted that into a character array, and hello.
Yes, sir. Can you just post it in the chat box, because I lost my internet in between.
The code.
Yeah.
So this is the last time I'm going to paste the code in here, because I think that's not the right approach. If you are, what I would suggest is, in case you are not able to do it when the session is going on, feel free to take it after the session, and you can try to kind of debug that after that. Okay, but don't copy paste the program, at least in the initial time, because the fun in Java is not on knowing the logic. It's how you write the program and how you get familiarized with the IDE, how you get to know about the shortcuts, things like that. Okay, so now what we have done is we've been able to print the character, we've been able to print a specific character, but what we wanted to do is we wanted to find the vowels in that. So and a simple way is I can have a vowel counter. I call that which, when starting, since we don't know how many vowels are there, I will start with 0. Now we know that we can print the character statement, and we can print each character a simple if condition. We are using a decision statement here. Character statement I, because as it goes through the loop, it checks for each value, and if it is A, it means that I got a vowel, right? S out. I'm just going to say I got vowel, or I got A. Let's keep it simple, just to see whether this works or not. I'm going to comment this part. So if you are using the IDEs, each IDE will have a shortcut. So you can leverage that to kind of comment it instead of like typing it. So here we are just looking for the letter A, whether we are able to print that or not. I commented the other part, so only when we get an A, the program will display that I got an A. Okay, so it printed I got an A, I got an A. So now we need to know how many times it got an A. Just to start with, we are not worried about the other characters, because we know that we can calculate. So every time it becomes equal to A, we are increasing our counter to 1. So first time when it finds that the value in the array is A, it will increase the counter, and it kind of keep continuing till it goes through all the statement and finds all the A. Let's just print how many A's are there. Okay, let's run the program. So vowel count 8. So it says that even though we are not counting for any other vowel characters, we are just counting for A. So it has A. So that's working so far good. Let's expand this to count other vowel characters also. So actually we have to count for both capital letter as well as lowercase. Since we are not here to score marks or 100%, we'll only count only the smaller characters right now. So for that, with if statement, I need to introduce you to another another new concept in Java, which is called OR and condition. So OR condition is basically if condition A or condition B is met, or which basically means that if the character is A or character B, it is a vowel character, right? Sometimes the condition can be and condition. It has to meet both the condition, right? It has to be most common thing is you might have seen in password. When you use password, it says that it needs to have a character, it needs to have a, you are using an and condition there. All the condition in that statement has to be true for that statement to be executed. Here we are going to use the condition of OR, which basically means that one of the condition has to be true to increase the vowel counter. So in Java, for OR, so first is I started an opening and a closing bracket for the if statement and keep adding my condition. For OR, it is this symbol which is used to denote OR condition, and I can keep adding the other letters here. A, E, again an OR condition, again an OR condition, again an OR condition, and again an OR condition. So this is more from a readability perspective, so that we don't miss out any opening bracket, closing bracket, and all that. I like to keep it this way. So since this is the last statement, we don't need or condition. So now what we are saying, if the character is A or E or I or O or U, please increase the vowel counter. Okay, so that's how our for loop looks right now. Let's execute it. We don't need to say I got a. We can just say I got a vowel, or this is not required right now because that's just used to make sure that our program executes without any problem. Run. It's executed successfully. So in the statement, there are 57 vowel characters in this statement. Okay. So please go ahead and try it out. I'll just give another 2 or 3 minutes. If you don't get the time to finish the program, please try it out after the session.
There is that indentation necessary after every time we put the symbol for OR?
No. Java will work without internet. The reason I did it is it's important that every closing bracket has been so it has been done properly. So when I basically arrange it in this way, it's easy to identify if I have made any mistakes. Generally, a good program, when you talk about a good programs, one thing that commonly talked about is the readability. So if your program is hard to read, it's not considered as a good thing. So for every good programmers, it's important that their program is easily readable and understandable by other people.
Okay, sir.
We'll just start the next part. I mean, I think I would request you to kind of try this out after the session. I just have like a hard stop today at 8:30, so so we'll quickly talk about the next part, and we will do a detailed programming after that. So, are you all able to see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, so let's get introduced to while loop also, and then we can have the different. So while loop is very similar to the for loop. In for loop, if you look at it, you had the initialization int I is equal to 0 is part of the for loop. The increment of the loop, which I plus plus, that's also part of the loop, and the condition to exit is also there as a part of the loop. But when you come to while condition can be written in two ways, but only the condition becomes part of the while, and the initialization happened before you start the loop, and the increment happened within the statements. Let me repeat that again. In the case of a while loop, you initialize first, and then you check the condition, and the statement you basically increment to check for the next condition. So it's very similar to for loop. Only the only thing different is it is basically the increments happen basically in the within the a while loop condition. Now, from a program's perspective, let's. So I might have okay, or let me write a while loop faster.
Sir, I got the output for the previous time.
Okay, excellent. So let's say while loop example. So I'm not writing any detailed program, just for you to be familiar with what is while loop. It's basically I have a counter, int counter is equal to 0. Okay. I would say while counter is less than 10. Okay. The most simplest while loop. I would say system.out.println, system. Print the counter, and then I will increase the counter. Okay, so it's a very simple while loop. So what we are doing is there is a counter, then the condition where we are saying please execute the statements 7 and 8 till the counter becomes less than 10, and increment the counter. Just run this. So what we are expecting, we'll get a counter 0, counter 1. It gets kind of printed till 9. Now the question is, I have one question for you. Assume that I forget to write this line. What would happen?
Counter will always be here.
The code would collapse.
It wouldn't collapse. It'll just run forever.
It will run for an ever, and it will collapse at a time. See, for example, if this activity is something which was taking like a memory, it will reach a stage where it will fully consume all the resources available to it. So your computer hangs, it will become unresponsive. Things like that would happen. Since this is a simple statement, and it is not taking any, power, this might run for a longer time. We might have to kind of just click and then close it. before we, get out, we talked about package as a new concept, how package is basically helping us to kind of arrange the Java files in a nicer way. We talked about two loops, for loop, and we now got introduced into a while loop. There is something called as a debugging, which will help you to kind of run and find out whether the program is working fine or not. For example, let's say something is going wrong in the program here. Okay, I need to understand what is going wrong here. There is always an option for you to click here, which is a debug statement, and I can run this program in a debugger mode also. This might not be available in Code Collab, but it will be available in other IDE tool. I run it in a debug mode. What would happen is the program will go as per my, so it reached counter 0. It reached here. It will stop the program, right? It stopped here. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
And if I click my mouse here, it says the counter value now is 0. I said, okay, let's continue. Resume the program. It came here. It again came here. The counter value would have been still 0. And I come here. I looked at here, and it says counter is still 0. Now I realized, okay, my counter is not increasing. So that's the reason my program is not working. So it helps me to kind of, debug my code and try to find out where the programming is going wrong. So I will just disconnect here, stop it, and I came back here and I added counter. And then I can execute the program again in a debugging mode. So what happens is that now when the program is running, the first time it here, counter is 0. Great. I run it again. Counter is 1. Okay. Now I can see that, okay, the program is behaving as I expect the program to behave. Okay. So this is another important thing which you need to get familiarized with as you start writing more complex program, because it will help you to kind of debug the programs. It will help you to kind of understand whether your program is working fine as expected, or is there any issues with the program. Okay. So, I'm going to stop the session for today. Starting from today, there is some interesting aspects which I would like you guys to kind of explore. So there are some problem statements. I'm basically giving it to you. Now you are familiar with two loops. You can use a while loop also. You can also use a for loop also. Use any of this loop, and I would like you to write a program where you can reverse a string. So the string Java is simple and powerful. If it reverse, it should come as like LUFREW. So the output would be the reversal of a string. You cannot use the Java library classes. For example, hello. So the program shouldn't be using the existing supporting library classes. For Java has lot of classes which will help you, which will do you the work for you and just reverse it. I'm not expecting that as a program. I'm expecting where you use your logic and you will use for loop or while loop to recreate this string in a reverse order. Okay. So we will be having more, interesting problem statements like this going forward. And whoever solves the maximum number of problems, they will get a really good gift from me at the end of the session. So it's not the offer is not only for the person who solves the maximum number of problems. It is for also the person who comes up with an innovative way they are solving the problems also. So I'm open to give. This offer is open to more than one person. So please, I would request all of you kind of try it out, and you can use Code Collab also, or you can use an IDE also. Let's start with this problem statement. Java is simple and powerful. That's one problem statement. I have two more problem statements for you before the next session. The second problem statement is, I would like you to kind of build a tower like this. There is no, this tower is not part of the, I mean, what do you call it? The Java challenge session, or Java is fun programming challenge session. This is for you to start solving the next problem statement. So once you reach here, I would like you to create a pyramid like this with the numbers. So if I say the number is 5, your program should build a pyramid like this. If I say 6, I mean, in the same manner, it should build a pyramid like 6. Again, you shouldn't use any of the inbuilt Java library class. You should use your logic and for and while loop to come up with this. So there are two problem statements. One, to reverse a string. Java is simple and powerful. A program to reverse Java is simple and powerful. Next is a program to build a pyramid like this. To build a pyramid like this, you have to first reach here. To first reach here, you need to use multiple loops. So there is loop 1, and inside that you will have to use a loop 2. So that's the hint. And once you reach there, you should be able to reach here fast. From there, I would like you to kind of improve your program to reach here. Okay. So interesting gifts wait for you. Please try this out. Both this the problem statement. I will try to upload these questions into the GrainEd website by Sunday. So you can look at these problem statements on Sunday. Both can be solved by using string, array, and loops. So you don't need anything more than that to come up with those outputs. So before we wrap up, any question for me?
Sir, which is like more easier and better in these days, Python or Java?
So, in terms of a programming ease to do, Python might be much easier. But Java is
more lower level and
yeah, Java is
faster.
more. So if you're, if you want to be a really good programmer, it's good that you have, you are really good with either Java or C++, and from a structured programming, C. So if you know these programming languages, it's much easier for you to kind of learn other programming languages. From a capability perspective, Python has a lot of capability. It is definitely one of the most happening programming languages.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks. So I'm expecting everybody will be able to solve this problem. Even if you are not able to solve all the problems, try it out. In programming, it is okay not to get answers, but the only important thing is please start trying it out so that your program has reached somewhere. Then we can always discuss and try to kind of see how we can take it to a closure. Okay. So thanks everybody. All of you have a great night. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.
Thank you.